Hello all. Before we begin the video, let's discuss CloudFoundation. CloudFoundation is the premier online training platform to help individuals and organizations gain knowledge and skills in the ever-growing cloud computing industry.
So we talked about basics of RESTlet. We'll talk about the entry points as in functions which are available in RESTlet, and then I'll talk about the authentication. How do you authenticate? And then we'll take an example to understand it completely. So can you explain what is RESTlet versus REST API? Right. So REST API is a method where you integrate with Netsuite. So Netsuite supports integration or connection using REST APIs, swap APIs. So REST APIs is one of those methods. Now RESTlet is a script type which enables us to connect or integrate with Netsuite, or integrate Netsuite with any application using REST APIs. So, as I was telling you guys on our previous session, right, that Netsuite has recently introduced connecting to objects directly using REST APIs. Earlier, it was primarily using RESTlets. You could not integrate or connect or access any object data directly. It was through RESTlet only. So you call a RESTlet, and then from RESTlet, you can do whatever operation is needed, because it's a script type which is there in Netsuite itself. So that's when RESTlet comes into picture. It could be anything like performing a search in Netsuite, creating a data, so it could be getting some information, creating some records in Netsuite, or maybe updating some records in Netsuite. Or it supports delete operation as well. So if you want to delete something in Netsuite that is also supported using RESTlet, RESTlet is nothing but a script type, which enables us to integrate with Netsuite using REST API. Okay, so you mentioned in the past or recently. You know, Netsuite, introduced using REST APIs with the RESTlets right in the past, was only RESTlets. So how do you connect just using RESTlet with other applications? So the connection part. I will explain what you need to do. When you create a RESTlet script and deploy it in Netsuite, you'll get a URL similar to what we have in SuiteLit. So you'll get that URL, which is an external URL. You share it with a third-party application that they have to call. So anything like even if you connect through SOAP API, you will have to call it object URL, similar to that you call the RESTlet URL. Then you have to share the authentication details, the token details, and everything. And using all that, like using the URL token details, these two things, combination of these things, they will be able to access that RESTlet. They will be able to call it. So, as soon as they call it, the RESTlet script will trigger, and it will start executing in Netsuite. Once the execution starts, whatever logic we have written within RESTlet, it will execute and it will return. Return is always in JSON format, so you return in JSON format whatever response is required. Let's say, if you are performing a delete operation, so delete it will trigger. You delete the record, and then your response could be a message or an ID or anything. If you're creating a record, you give the responses and the record which is generated, so you provide the ID and response. Like, this is the new record which is generated. So it could be anything based on the entry point or based on the function you're calling. Okay, and then the same responses, you capture it or you use it in the external application. So as soon as you get a response back, you read it or you pass through it, and then you take the reaction in the other application. Okay, so RESTlet can. It supports only JSON, or it does support XML too. I have seen JSON only as a response. Okay, I can. I mean, even if you see here, as far as I remember it is only JSON, but I can, quick check and confirm that part as well. But as far as I know, I've seen only JSON. Right? But if it is XML, then if JSON is the only supporting language, then what would we use if we use XML? No, I mean SOAP API is anyway an option. So SOAP APIs can be used within RESTlet. No, I mean when I'm saying SOAP API. You integrate NetSuite with SOAP API instead of REST APIs, correct? Okay, if you have to put an XML and any additional thing, but I think I can quickly check. If yeah, I think it is always. I've always seen it as a JSON, only whenever we return it in JSON. Yeah, I can This is one thing I can check additionally if you come to Angular sure. So I'll share that additional information with you tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so now coming to the functions, or the entry points, which RESTlet support. There are 4 where we have get, delete, put and post. Get is. This is. I think this is very similar, or very clear, based on any API call right. So if you want to retrieve some information, get. If you want to create a record, put. If you want to update a record, which is post. And if you want to delete a record, then you have to go with delete entry point. So what does put do? Insert. Insert. Okay, post is to create. Post is to update. Oh, update post is to update. Okay. But mostly used. One is post. I mean you can, if there is any, if you're not actually creating a recorder, you're just putting performing a search and all. So mostly, the one which is mostly used is post. Okay, so first it reads, and then it reads it. Okay, so I could open one of these functions, define the function and get request to send to the RESTlet. HTTP response body is returned. Return string and object. It is okay. So it does allow support XML also. I can see it here. So returns an object when a request content type is JSON or XML both. Okay, returns a request. This returns a string when this context request is plain text and returns an object, which is a JSON object if it is JSON or XML. So the response is anyways JSON only. It accepts JSON and XML, both, but it returns an object which is in JSON format, if your request is in XML or JSON, any one of those. So this is about get. Similarly, we have put post and delete. Let me open post. Same thing when you have a post request, when you're sending a post request from, when you're calling a post request. That's when this particular function will trigger. It also has the same parameter where you have request body. So we'll see one example. But before that, let's talk about authentication. So Res-Tlet authentication is one which is widely used as token-based authentication. What do? You generate tokens, and then share the token details with a third-party application, whoever is, managing it, admin or the developer who's working on that particular integration. You share the token details with them, and then they can access that particular RESTlet. So how to generate a token is.
And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.